It's not a mystery to me. The same thing that happened to my daughter is what happened to Whitney. There's only one person that was around both occasions.
You won't say his name. Nick Gordon is who you're referring to.
I won't say his name.
Whitney Houston and Bobbi Brown's daughter, Bobbi Kristina Brown, has been gone for a minute now. But if you ask her daddy, the way everything went down still ain't adding up. And he ain't the only one. Bobbi has spoken out plenty of times about how Chrissy's ex, Nick Gordon, might have had a hand in not just her passing, but Whitney's too.
I want the world to know that Bobbi Kristina did not die from the bathtub incident. That's not what killed Bobbi Kristina.
What killed Bobbi Kristina?
Bobbi Kristina was starved to death.
Do you approach that?
He knows what happened. I don't know what happened that night, but he does.
You walk through that door and you see her much like you saw Whitney.
It was literally, it was a nightmare all over.
But allegedly, there's a whole lot more to this story, and word on the street is that Chrissy knew exactly what went down with her mama. And folks have been saying the eerie way their deaths mirrored each other wasn't no coincidence. It was planned. Now, I've also heard plenty about how Chrissy was right there during a lot of her mama's heated run-ins with folks like Clive Davis.
And then it's Grammy time.
That happened.
And her and Clive had a fight 2 days before. And from what I was told, Bobbi Kristina was present for some of that fight. And then the next thing you know, she's dead.
So what exactly did Chrissy know about her mama's death? And was it connected to what happened to her? Let's get into it. All right, just to set the scene, Chrissy grew up in the spotlight, always right by Whitney's side. She even popped up in an interview with Barbara Walters when she was just 8 months old. And by the time she was 1, she was already on stage at the 1994 American Music Awards, right there when her mama accepted her award. But when Whitney passed, Chrissy took it the hardest. She was so devastated that she had to be hospitalized after breaking down when they found her mama's body in that Beverly Hills hotel room. Still, she held it together and put on a strong front during the funeral and memorial services in the days that followed. Whitney's passing actually put Chrissy even more in the spotlight, and while her family tried to shield her, she still ended up stepping into the industry. She joined a Tyler Perry series for a minute before eventually leaving, showed up at the Billboard Music Awards, and even sat down with Oprah for an interview, plus a few other public appearances. But tragically, she never got the chance to fully carry on her mama's legacy. On January 31st, 2015, Chrissy was found unresponsive in the Georgia home she shared with Nick Gordon, discovered unconscious in a bathtub, just like how her mama was found. And after months in hospice, she passed away on July 26, 2015. Fulton County Medical Examiner ruled her death as a mix of drowning and intoxication, and the toxicology report found marijuana, alcohol, a Coca-Cola related substance, sedative and anti-anxiety medications, and morphine in her system. The medical examiner's office, however, couldn't say for sure whether her death was intentional or just a tragic accident. All they said at the time was the underlying cause of death is the condition which starts the downhill course of events leading to death, and in this case is the immersion associated with intoxication. The pneumonia and encephalopathy are more immediate causes, which resulted from the immersion and drug intoxication. Of course, Bobbi Kristina's death had folks doing a double take because of how eerily similar it was to her mama's. Whitney passed on February 11th, 2012, at just 48 years old, also found unresponsive and submerged in a bathtub at the Beverly Hilton Hotel in Beverly Hills. According to reports, Whitney's death was ruled an accidental drowning, and toxicology results showed a little bit of Coca-Cola in her system. But that wasn't all. Traces of Xanax and other substances were also found in her body. Official reports suggested she may have suffered a heart attack, possibly brought on by hardened arteries, which caused her to lose consciousness and drown. But here's the thing. The coroner never found any actual proof that Whitney had a heart attack. So that whole story about her having a cardiac episode, probably just a cover-up. What the coroner did say was that Whitney had a mild heart disease and some artery blockage, which ain't unusual for long-time smokers. But nothing in that autopsy confirmed she blacked out and fell into that tub because of a heart attack. And about that Coca-Cola in her system, the coroner made it clear she used a little, but not enough to take her out. So that leaves the real question. What actually caused her to end up submerged in that scalding hot water, unable to get herself out? Another thing that had folks raising eyebrows? There wasn't even enough water in her lungs to prove she drowned, meaning there's a strong chance somebody put her in that bathtub instead of her passing out in it. And you already know whose names stay coming up when people talk about Whitney's suspicious passing. Chrissy's ex, Nick Gordon, and none other than Ray
J was the last person to see her alive. He let the dealer in, but she was sober, right? But he let the dealer in that gave her the shot. Leola Brown, Bobby Brown's sister, has said on several occasions that she was beat. They saw her body. She didn't just die in a tub, like she was beat up.
The thing is, Ray J was the last man publicly linked to Whitney. But let's be real, they were never solid like that, and neither one ever confirmed they were a couple. But here's where it gets messy. Ray J swore up and down that he wasn't at the party the night Whitney passed. Yet multiple people have come forward saying that was a straight up lie. One of those accounts? Somebody who was actually at the party said Brandy was out here asking where her brother was. Now, why would she be looking for him if he wasn't even there? Then folks really started side-eyeing Ray J when he, Raffles, and Brandy Burnside were seen sneaking out the back that same night. And let's not forget, Raffles never even rocked with Ray like that, so why was he helping him dip out so low-key? And if that wasn't enough, Loyola Brown, Bobby Brown's sister, came forward after Whitney's passing and straight up said that Ray J was the one helping Whitney get access to whatever she was using. She even suggested he might have been the one who gave her a bad bag. Now, if that's true, that changes everything.
I saw Ray J coming out of the hotel, hiding his head, being pushed into the car. Why? I looked and I said, why is he hiding? Why is he hiding his face? He's always trying to show his face when he's around Whitney. Why now? Why are you trying to hide now, Ray J? And I put it all together. When I first heard she passed away, I said, my God, somebody gave her a bad bag. Yes. I promise you, that was the first thing that came out of my mouth. And then I saw Ray J, and it all added up.
It also doesn't help that right before Whitney passed, she slid Brandy a note when she popped up during an E! Interview with Brandy, Monica, and Clive. And to this day, Brandy still won't say what was in that note. Matter of fact, in another E! Interview, she straight up said, I'm gonna just not say what it was and keep it to myself for my own personal reasons. But a lot of folks believe Whitney slid that note to Brandy on camera on purpose, like she wanted there to be proof in case something happened to her. And if you really pay attention, after handing Brandy the note, Whitney kept her focus on Monica and Clive, almost like she was trying to buy Brandy some time to read it. I mean, let's be real. Why would Whitney Houston crash a recorded interview, soaking wet but still fully dressed, just to say hi, and then pass a secret note to Brandy before giving her that long, emotional kiss at the end? That whole moment was too specific to be random, and if you listen closely, you'll even hear her say, I nearly drowned today. On top of that, folks couldn't help but notice that Brandy will talk about everything when it's good, but when it's bad, she stays quiet. And that right there says a lot. If that note was something positive, why keep it a secret? Plus, her face when Whitney handed it to her, it spoke volumes. Anyway, people have long suspected that Chrissy found out the real truth about what happened to her mama. And word on the street is, she even had receipts to back it up. In fact, if we go by what Jaguar Wright spilled, Chrissy was right there, witnessing all the drama and heated arguments Whitney had in the very place where she lost her life.
And then it's Grammy time.
That happened.
And her and Clive had a fight 2 days before. And from what I was told, Bobbi Kristina was present for some of that fight. And then the next thing you know, she's dead.
Now, there have been plenty of theories floating around that Clive might have had something to do with Whitney's death. And if Chrissy was around during some of those heated arguments they had, best believe she probably heard way more than she was supposed to. And let's not ignore the obvious. Whitney just happened to die at a Clive Davis party. That doesn't add up at all. But what's even crazier is how the circumstances surrounding Chrissy's passing were just as suspicious. The eerie similarities to her mama's death, the drama between her and Nick Gordon, it all points to something way deeper than what they want us to believe.
This is a young man who swears to God that he loves my niece, but yet you drag her up the steps, you pull her by her hair. You pull her by her hair and you punch her in the face and you knock 2 of her teeth out of her mouth?
Apparently, Chrissy had big plans. She was about to head to LA to celebrate her dad's birthday with the family. But it wasn't just a quick trip. Word was, she was planning to stay for good. She wanted to be closer to Bobbi, rebuild their relationship, and really focus on her career. Reports even said she was excited about carrying on her mama's legacy and finally being around people who truly had her back. But you know who wasn't feeling that? Nick. Because he knew the second Chrissy left, it was a wrap for him. No more control, no more access, nothing. And he wasn't about to let that happen. Word is, Chrissy was even supposed to meet up with a friend that same day, the day she was found in that tub. And what was she planning to say? That Nick wasn't the man she thought he was. She was ready to spill everything. But according to those close to her, the day she tried to tell Nick about her plans, she was already upset and under the influence. And when Nick came back from being out, things got heated. They argued, and that's when Nick allegedly attacked her before leaving her alone in that room. And that's why she was brutal, allegedly. And let's not forget, shortly after Chrissy was moved to hospice, her court-appointed conservator wasted no time filing a complaint against Nick Gordon to fight for justice on her behalf. In the complaint, he was accused of causing substantial bodily harm and stealing money by pretending to be Bobbi Kristina's husband. Actually, the conservator later doubled down and filed an amended complaint, straight up accusing Nick Gordon of causing Bobbi Kristina's wrongful death. According to that complaint, after a heated argument, Nick allegedly gave her a toxic cocktail that knocked her out, then put her face down in the bathtub. And if you ask Bobby Brown, he firmly believes Nick was present during both Whitney's and Chrissy's deaths. In his mind, there's no way it was just a coincidence. He truly believes Nick played a role in both tragedies. But of course, Nick denied everything. He even had the audacity to flip it around and blame Bobby Brown for what happened to Chrissy. Sadly, Nick passed away a few years later, taking whatever secrets he had with him. So now, there's really no one left who can say for sure what really happened to Whitney and Chrissy, or if their deaths were linked and planned all along. Now, I don't know if Nick was behind it all, or if there was someone bigger pulling the strings. But one thing I do know, Whitney's and Chrissy's deaths never sat right with anybody. I mean, come on, you can't tell me the similarities aren't disturbing. So, what do y'all think? Was Nick really involved? Or was he just a pawn for someone with real power? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.